same building as
Okay.
just okay.
Richie, I'm were you born in Regina or
Yeah,
and you did all your sports growing up there, eh?
yeah.
Um, Tom mentioned you played a lot of different sports. What were some of your sports that you really enjoyed that you probably could have got into?
Uh, football, mostly football and hockey. A little. I played little league baseball, but then high school just football and hockey. But I was too small. I was I was playing quarterback in high school,
And
5'9" quarterback,
where did you go to high
and I,
school?
I Sheldon Williams.
Okay. Anyway, you grew up. Obviously, your dad he was involved with the Rough Riders, but I think he was also involved with hockey. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
No, he wasn't. Just football.
Just football.
Yeah,
Okay. Well,
yeah. He played and coached Winnipeg and Regina, and then he sold his business in '58 and became full time GM. He was part time GM and before '58. Then that's what the CFL was like.
yeah.
Wasn't big money. Wasn't big money there. But then he became sold his business and became full time GM in '58.
Well, Richie, can you tell me your path, like minor hockey, Regina? You, you played junior with the Pats, and then go on from there.
Yeah, played junior 1 year, and that was that was probably the toughest decision of my life. I was a backup quarterback my junior year, and then we won the city championship in football. And then my senior year, I was starting quarterback, and we still had a pretty good team. I think we were 3-1, and the Pats back then they had the weekend training camp where you scrimmaged for 2 days, and they had about four teams scrimmage for 2 days, and then they picked the team. And I asked our football coach at the high school. I said, "Can I miss? We had a weekend practice. Can I miss weekend practice? I'd like to try out for the Pats." He goes, "If you miss practice, you're off the team." So I was just, my dad's the GM of the Rough Riders, so big there that Rough Riders. I'm quitting football to try out for hockey. And the toughest decision I ever made because I said, "Well, I'm not going anywhere in football." I was a 5'9" quarterback. I was, but I liked hockey, and so if I wouldn't have made the Pats that year, I'm screwed. I'm off the football team, and I didn't make the Pats. That was a very tough decision. And anyway, things worked out. I made the Pats, and then went to University of Denver.
Rich, that decision, how much did your family, your dad, play a part in it, or did they just let you decide?
No, they let me decide. That was good. That was good. Um, but to me, to have your whole life in football, and your dad's whole life was in football, and then it's like quitting, on your team,
Yeah.
and you're in high school, and you're still going to high school, and you're not on the football team, and all your buddies in there are there, and now you're. But it worked out for the best.
Wow. And then you went to Denver. Who was the coach at Denver?
Murray,
Murray Armstrong. Yeah.
yeah, one of the best. Like he was, of course, he was well known, winning the most NCAA's in the '60s. There, when he went there in the '50s, late '50s, I think it was, and then he won five NCAA championships. I think in his first 10 years, 12 years, and but the year I went, he had his biggest freshman class ever. He had eight freshmen. Uh, Murray did 4 from the States and 4 from Canada. And he was all Canadian guys forever. I think that was the year he started taking Americans, and he took and 2 of them were all Americans eventually. But Peter McNabb, Max McNabb,
Yeah.
Peter McNabb's son, we became best friends, and he came out of San Diego, and back then, San Diego in 1970, we played hockey in San Diego. San Diego, do they even have ice rinks there? And but his dad was the coach and GM of the San Diego Gulls in Western League, so he was on the ice all the time. He was a really good player. Like, he turned pro after his junior year. Yeah, of the 8 guys, 5 of them, just 3 of us finished our senior years. 5 of them turned pro after their sophomore or junior years. That's how good that freshman class was. And Murray was a hard-nosed coach. He was really good. He was like, one thing he said, like, I didn't make the team for a year and a half. I wasn't good enough. And I'll never forget what he said the first year we were there. He said, and that kind of influenced me big time. He said, I'll never not play my hardest working player. So I was determined to be the hardest working player, and that's how I got the only reason I got to play my sophomore year, halfway through my sophomore year, is Vic Fanaski, who got drafted by LA Kings. Vic Fanaski, good centerman from Thunder Bay. He got hurt. That's the only reason I started playing my sophomore year. And so then my junior year, he put me and Peter McNabb and Rob Palmer. Rob Palmer was from Detroit, drafted by Chicago Blackhawks. Him and Pete turned pro after that year. But that's the only reason I got noticed, is because we were on the first line, and McNabb, Palmer, and myself. Palmer was the centerman. So they were both All-Americans, and I got noticed because I was playing with them. Scouts were all watching those 2 guys and said, "Who's this guy? Who's this guy playing the off wing?" And so I was lucky enough to play with those 2 guys. And then they turned pro, and which was tough because they were good friends throughout. We're lifetime good friends. And then so my senior year, they were gone, and we still had a pretty good team though.
So you guys had a JV team too, right?
No, not then. Back then, no.
So you didn't have it in your first year. How'd you get on the ice your first year? You just practice with them?
Just practice, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played maybe, I don't know, maybe 2 games, but then that second year when Vanaski got hurt, I think I played 17 games. But I was a late bloomer. I was 5'9", 165 when I went to Denver as an 18-year-old, and then I came out 6 feet, 185. Big difference.
Yeah. I never had that spurt.
When you went to Denver, was your primary motive to play hockey?
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
So
they had one thing I wish, like, growing up in Regina and Saskatchewan, we never introduced to lacrosse. So we had no lacrosse then back in Saskatchewan, which would have been nice to be introduced to that. So anyway, go to Denver, and they're in the Rocky Mountain Conference, the lacrosse team. They had an outdoor lacrosse team that I think there was 3 guys on the hockey team that after hockey, they played outdoor lacrosse in the springtime, after spring break, and did pretty well. They're a really good team. So we used to watch them after hockey season, watch our teammates play lacrosse. A couple of them are pretty good.
what happened when you graduated from Denver, or did you leave early?
No, I left. I went 4 years. Yeah, I graduated.
And then what was your path after that?
Well, I was put on the Blackhawks. Back then, the NHL teams could have, I forget how many players that weren't drafted. They could put them on their negotiation list. So they owned the rights, even though they didn't draft them. And guys that weren't drafted. So the Blackhawks put me on their negotiation list. And Houston Aeros, our goalie, my junior year, turned pro with the Houston Aeros. And we were good friends. Ron Graham was his name. And so Bill Dineen, the coach in Houston, one of the best coaches I ever had by far. And I decided to go down there, chance to play it, because he had Gordie Howe and his sons came down there the year before to Houston in 72, 73, or I should say 73, 74. The second year of the World Hockey, 73, 74. And then they won the championship. And then a chance to play with Gordie Howe and his boys the next year. It was too good to not go down there and play with them. And they had a good team, and we were lucky enough. So my first year there, we won. They won again. So we won that was kind of a nice introduction to the world hockey.
You know, you mentioned Bill Dineen as one of your favorite coaches. What do you remember most about him? And I'm just thinking of coaches out there that whether they're favorite coaches or jerks or not. Can you talk a bit about Bill Dineen and his impact on you as a player and how it affected you growing up as a player?
Well, there's Murray, of course, Murray Armstrong, Bill Dineen, and then the other one was Tommy McVie. Tommy McVie, and they're also different, but Billy, one of the big things, and one of the games I'll never forget is, so we had 3 rookies. Actually, there's 4 rookies, a defenseman, but 2 guys from that played for Swift Current Broncos with Tiger, Terry Wiskowski and Don Larway. Terry Wiskowski, one of the toughest pound for pound ever played. And he's a little centerman, really good centerman. So he put us on a line, and we were the 4th line. 3 rookies on the 4th line. What a way to break in. No pressure, right? We had a really good team. 4th line. And it was funny. They had there's probably 15 guys over 30 on that team. Nobody in their late 20s, and then us 3 rookies. And Mark and Marty Howe, who were 19 or 19, 20. But so that was a great way to break in. So that in training camp, 1974 training camp, it was the first year, like the NHL wanted nothing to do with the world hockey back then. So this was the first year, third year of the world hockey. The NHL finally, they agreed to play exhibition games. So, and just a quick story, after 5 years of exhibition games, who had the most wins? The world hockey. That's, so you still there?
Yep.
Okay, just saw this picture. So anyway, the first exhibition game between world hockey and NHL was St. Louis Blues in Houston. So that's our rookie season. We played together on the line. We beat them 5-3, and our line got 3 goals. And guess who was in net for St. Louis?
Davidson?
Not
Yep.
John Plant.
Big JD. Big JD. I think it was his second year pro.
Davidson, yeah.
Yeah, Big JD. We beat. And at the time, it's just you think this exhibition game, you think back to the first ever exhibition game between the 2 leagues. And we get the first win, and against a pretty good goalie. think it was his second year pro JD, and yeah, that was a fun game to play. But to play with Gordie Howe and the thing was Gordie and Mark and Marty. If you remember that the Russians and Phil Esposito in '72. I mean, remember that the big series. So '74, the World Hockey did it. So my first camp there, no Gordie and no Mark and Marty. There we were in Russia. So actually, it was kind of good because to go to camp, I was so nervous. If Gordie's there, to meet Gordie and play with Gordie, oh my God! But him and Mark and Marty with the World Hockey over in Russia. So we never met them till our last exhibition game. They came back from Russia and they set it up. So it was in Motor City in Detroit. So it was a sellout crowd for an exhibition game. We played because Gordie come back to Detroit, Cobo Hall in downtown Detroit. It was against the what'd they call them then? The Detroit team. They didn't last very long there. The Michigan Stags were the World Hockey team, and so that was our last exhibition game. So we're all nervous, me and my two other line mates, because Gordie and Mark and Marty are coming into the dressing room. First time we meet them in Detroit for the exhibition game, and oh my gosh, I can't even remember that game. I was so nervous.
What do you remember about Gordie Howe as a player? Was he a smart player, just tough, north south, or just pure skill, or what was the deal with him?
All three.
He did it all.
He did it. He was well. The thing about Gordie was didn't do a lot of talking, no raw stuff. He was very focused and playing with. You can imagine playing with your two sons and they're playing against guys in their 30s, but he got a lot of respect, and the guys that didn't respect him or his sons, well, it didn't go well for them. And yeah, he still played hard and he was our best player at 45, 46 years old. Crazy. But I learned so much from him, just watching him play. And then I was fortunate enough to play with him my second year. Him and Gordie and I played on the line, and Gordie played center, which he loved. He never played center. He always played right wing, but he played center with Mark and I, and he loved that because he could go all over the ice. Didn't have to worry about where he went. And he used to tell us, the puck goes in the corner, you guys get to the front of the net. Get to the front of the net, I'll get it to you. He'd go to the corner, and the Red Sea parted. The Red Sea would part. He'd go in the corner. Defensemen see him coming. Ooh, not good. But he's such a gentleman off the ice. He's the ultimate Jekyll and Hyde on the ice compared to off the ice. Off the ice, he was so soft-spoken and just a terrific gentleman.
I've watched video of him. The thing that impressed me, how smart a player he was.
Yeah.
He just saw the ice. He knew where to go. He knew where people were. And he was a little bit tougher than everybody and more skilled. I'm a stickler on stick length. And I think Gordie was one of the guys who had a shorter stick, and
yeah,
most of the Hall of Famers had shorter sticks.
Yeah.
They could handle that puck and pressure and rifle it. And right,
he could do it. He could do it with one hand.
Yeah.
I'll never forget him. He'd hold off, a right hand, or he'd hold off the defenseman with his left hand, one hand on the stick, and roof it. Yeah, he could do some. He was outstanding, and so his temperament obviously he got, I wouldn't say he got mad, but he got even every time.
Rico, what was the nickname for your line there? You told us before.
Well, I think it was spelled WHO. Who, how. So after, John Tonelli. So John Tonelli was drafted by Islanders, first for pick, and we got him in Houston as an 18-year-old. So it was my second year, and uh, he's a centerman. He played wing with Islanders. He's a centerman. So Bill Dean put him with Mark and Gordie as their centerman on their line, and it was so much pressure. 18-year-old kid, he just, it was so tough for him. So after a month, he changed the lines and put me with Gordie and Mark, and moved Gordie to center. I played right, and Mark played left. And after about a month, some of the guys said, "Hey, that's not a bad line. We got to get a nickname for that line." So it was how, and who. So who I was, who. But as good to Gordie, just, Gordie playing center. Oh, he loved it. Isn't that funny? He never played center. I'm surprised Bill didn't put him at center earlier, but he loved it. He just to go all over the ice, and so that was big that year. So my first year, Houston won again, so that was 2 in a row. And then that year, remember Winnipeg got Hedberg and Nielsen.
Yeah.
Basically, Winnipeg was the first pro hockey team, even before the NHL. They really went after Swedes and Finns, which was smart. And they had such a skilled team. We had with Gordie leading the pack, we didn't have nearly as much skill, but we had a tougher team. We had a lot of guys not even compared to Winnipeg, but the skill of Winnipeg. And I remember playing against Hedberg. Played against them a lot. Hedberg, Nielsen. We'd play the how and who would play against Hedberg, Nielsen, and Bobby. Oh, that was fun. So anyway, that my second year, we're in the finals again. Winnipeg beat us 4 straight. They had such a good, and you know what? You talk about Hedberg and Nielsen, and Nielsen the centerman, but then they end up getting Kenta Nielsen, that played in Calgary here. But you know who, when I went to Winnipeg my last year of the World Hockey, and I thought he was a good little defenseman, but playing with him, oh man, he was outstanding. Lars-Erik Schuberg, his nickname is Schu. Lars-Erik Schuberg, 5'8" defenseman, 5'9" defenseman, so good.
Yeah, I remember him being really good. Really good.
Like that last world, yeah.
I got to play a benefit game for Billy Heindel years ago, and Schoberg was playing. There was a bunch of national team players playing a bunch of pros, and Gretzky was there, Orr played on one leg, and Schoberg was there, and they had too many national team players, so I got shuffled over to the pros, and I got to witness Schoberg. My God, he was good. Like, he was so skilled and smart. I remember it well, and of course, it was just the only time I had got to actually be that close to guys of that quality. And even though it was a benefit game, uh, I do remember Schoberg. Now, did you ever run into Morris Lukovich along the way?
Oh yeah, we played in Houston and Winnipeg together. He came to Houston my let's see, Tonelli came my second year. He came my third year, and we played together on the line that year. It was me and him, Ruskowski. He's a good little player. He could really shoot the puck. So we played 2 years in Houston and 1 year in Winnipeg together.
Yeah. Now, how many years did you play in the World Hockey, and then did you get over to the NHL, or they combined, or what happened?
No, it was in Houston that we had like our third owner, and that summer, like the summer before the last World Hockey, he says, I'm going to try and get an NHL team. And he talked to the NHL, and if I don't get an NHL team, expansion team, I'm going to fold the team. And it didn't happen until like late July, August. So I still kept the clipping from the press release. I still have it back in 1970, 78. So 78, 79 was the last World Hockey season. So he folded the team it was like July, early August. And we were just devastated because we had such a good team. We were so tight. And what happened was Winnipeg bought 12 of us for $500,000, Winnipeg Jets. So they bought 12 of us for $500,000. And the rest of August, we all talked to our agents. My dad was my agent. We tried to get out of our contracts. Said, no fucking way we're going to Winnipeg. Because Houston, we were so tight in Houston, and the two best teams, we won 2 and they won 3, Winnipeg. And then Quebec won 1. And then Hartford won the first one. And Quebec won 1, Houston 2, and Winnipeg 3 championships in 7 years of the World Hockey. And we just hate each other, Winnipeg and us, because we were so competitive, and probably really the two top teams. Quebec was really good. I'm surprised they didn't win more. Quebec had the good teams there, Tardif and Bordelot. So we just couldn't, because they're ironclad. We couldn't get out of their contract, so we ended up going to Winnipeg, and it turned out good because we won the last championship. But so they bought 12 of us for $5. That's a lot of money for $50 million, and or no, $5 million. What did I say? $50 million, $5 million. Anyway, and they traded 5 guys and kept 7. So 7 of us went to Winnipeg, and it worked out pretty good. Nice to win the last championship and beat Gretzky and the Oilers, because they got Gretzky because Indianapolis folded at Christmas time that last year, and they sold him to Edmonton, and the rest is history.
Well, you were MVP of that last Avco Cup, weren't you?
Yeah, but shit, Schuberg should have been MVP. Schuberg was out the last. He had what did he have? What was his injury? I think he had what's that tendon? Achilles.
Yeah.
He had bad Achilles. So last 2 months he never played. Then he played the last week of the season, and we don't win if he's not there. Like we got him back outstanding. And Suitcase Smith, Gary Smith.
Yeah.
Suitcase Smith, the goalie, he was outstanding. John Ferguson became our GM after he got fired by the Rangers. When Winnipeg hired him in February, he brought in Fergie. They were both horse racing buddies, and the rest is history. And that MVP thing, like, I've never agreed with that. Then Tommy, like, now you got to play 4 best of 7 rounds, four best of 7 round series, and I just don't agree with having that. I mean, you don't win unless you have a great team. Everybody plays hard and plays. You know what I mean? To single out one guy, I never agreed with that anyway. But
I don't like that either.
I can see regular season, obviously, like McDavid or where he gets the most points on it. But when you go through a hard fought playoff series or playoff 2 months, and it's shit. If you don't have everybody on board, you're not going to win anyway. So, but it's funny. So Tommy McVie, so Furry gets fired from Rangers, they fire well, we had the old GM from Chicago. What was his name? Rudy Pillis. He gets fired. They bring in Fergie in February. He hires Tommy McVie, and because he got fired from Washington. And I really like Tommy. He was like, the Europeans were scared shitless of him. He had that low, gravelly voice, and he worked the piss out of us. It was just what we needed. And he's got a great sense of humor. I just went to his celebration of life. They had it in Portland. Because we talked about that, Tommy. He played with the Portland Buckaroos in the Western League way back, and he loved Portland. And him and his wife had a place there for years and years. And so they had the celebration of life back there a few months ago. And it shows you how well he was respected and loved by players. Because he coached the New Jersey farm team for a lot of years, and there was like eight guys from that team that, well, you know them, some of them. Who was the little guy that played for Edmonton? Patty Conacher. Patty Conacher. He was there.
Yeah.
A bunch of guys, and one thing Tommy did, and the reason I think it's the reason we beat Edmonton. So it was just 2 rounds back then, because the World Hockey only finished with 6 or 7 teams. But so we beat Quebec 4 straight, and then between series, and Edmonton beat Hartford. I think it was in 7 games. But so the final series, us in Edmonton, I think we had like a week, at least a week to 10 days off because of the arena schedules. We couldn't get the ice. And Tommy, he worked, which was a good idea. I think that's the reason we beat him, because he worked living. It was like training camp. He worked the shit out of us. We had fights. We were scrimmaging. It's in May, and you're scrimmaging for an hour, and the guys we almost had fights. But we were ready to go. Like, imagine, and I can tell you, there's no way Edmonton did that, because, we were so ready to play somebody else instead of scrimmaging against your own friggin' teammates in May for an hour every day.
Want to tell Wally that coincidence of I showed Rico a picture of our midget. We won the provincials, and Rico played with 2 of the guys. Keith Hall was the goalie, and he played with him at Denver, and then Al McLeod.
Al McLeod
in Houston, right?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Rico, you mentioned McPhee and what he did because you had a long time off, and I recall playing college hockey. We would have fights at practice during the week. Like, even in college hockey, it was intense, the competition.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not sure. It didn't come from the coaches. I just think we had a bunch of guys that competed so hard that they took practices seriously.
Yeah.
And that's unusual.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, the thing about that was a big adjustment too. Like, you don't think of it, but from going from 35 games in college to 78, I think it was 78 the first year of the World Hockey, 70, and then he went to 80. But to play that many games, and the college schedule, you're like you say, it gets pretty heated because you're practicing all week to play 2 games, right? And you practice all week 5 days, and then play on the weekend 5 days, and play on the weekend. That was a big, like, I remember that first year. I was like, you lose weight, and that's a long season compared to college. That was a big adjustment. And back then, we never had, back then,
Yeah.
you never had off ice. You never had off ice.
Yeah.
In the rink, you never did anything during the season to keep your strength up and all that.
I thought you guys ran stairs in Denver.
Okay. Yeah. We did. Murray Armstrong had us do that. I think what they say, 75 or 80 stairs. Tommy, they still had they quit football 10 years before that, but they still kept the stadium stairs. So we ran that, and then we had to put a guy on your back and run up the stairs. And that's every day before we're on the ice. And then, what was I going to say? But he was the one thing of all the coaches I played for, Murray was he worked the living piss out of us, and you're skating, you get Sunday out and start Monday, play Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Monday was not real hard because you had a day off. But Tuesday, Wednesday, I mean, we worked it and skating and at the end of practice, but it paid off because we had good teams. The 4 years I was there, we went to the Final Four 3 times, fourth, third, and second. I think that the best team we had was my junior year when Peter McNabb and Rob Palmer were together. It was in Boston, Final Four, and we lost to Wisconsin in the final. Really tight game, and you knew who their best player was, and he was incredible. I don't think he wasn't as good at pro, but in college, the big centerman for Wisconsin, back in you'd know his name. He played pro. I can't remember his name, but he was so good. Can't remember his name.
Was Murray Heatley on the Wisconsin team?
Not that one, no. I played against him. I think I don't know if I did play against him because I think he graduated 72.
Yeah.
I started in 70.
Rico, you played with a lot of different coaches, a lot of different organizations, different leagues. Now you ended up getting into scouting, but did you coach at all? Minor pro or anything like that? And
he had a long NHL career too.
Yeah. I'm curious about the NHL career and then how you ended up involved, because I remember you were assisting the Flames, and I got to speak to your team and you about Japan.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I retired in 87 in Chicago. And I wanted to get out of hockey for a bit and I was out for 4 years. So I lived quite a few years in Chicago. And then I wanted to get back in 91, 92 season. I called Daryl because Daryl Sutter was working with Mike Keenan. Mike was coach and GM of the Blackhawks then, and Daryl coached the minor league team, and they won a championship down there. And then he was assistant with Mike. And I called Daryl and said I want to get back into the game. But anyway, he said, Mike, we just lost an assistant. Mike's a longtime assistant with him in Philadelphia when he was there. He went on to coach the Boston Bruins farm team. So we got an opening. So talked to Mike. So I went in anyway, interviewed with Mike, and he hired me. And that was my first coach at 91, 92. And that year we had a good team. And that year we got to the finals against Pittsburgh. in 92. And Pittsburgh had a young Jagger, who's the big French guy? Oh, Lemieux. They had a good team. I mean, they beat us 4 straight. But I'll never forget it, the first game, we were up going into the third period in Pittsburgh. We opened in Pittsburgh. Jagger, I think we're up 2 goals. Jagger is in our zone. He beat everybody twice. He beat all 5 guys twice and scored a goal. That started their comeback, and oh shit, like he was amazing as a young player. And you, of course. And so that if we would have won that first game, it would have been different. But it was such a tough loss because you win that first game on the road, it's huge. They'd be us 4 straight, and we were a good team, but that's how good they were. So then Mike was just GM next year, and Daryl took over as head coach and coached with him for another 3 years there, and then I went to coach the hometown team, Regina Pats. That was real enjoyable for 2 years. I really liked that. Coached my home team for 2 years, and then came to Calgary in 97 with Brian Sutter. And 3 years there. Now they didn't renew our contracts. We had our last year. We could have made the playoffs, but we went through 12 defensemen. We had injuries on defense. Like we were right there in the playoff on 99, 2000. We went through, I'm pretty sure it was, about 12 defensemen. And we're trying to find defensemen because, calling guys up, they weren't good enough. They're defensemen on our minor league team. So, but I remember that year like it was yesterday. And we weren't fired. We just weren't our contracts were up, and as you guys know, it was called the Young Guns, right?
Yeah.
And they weren't young guns. They didn't draft. Back then they didn't draft very well. Rico Fata, great legs, no head. Right, Tommy? I told Tommy the other day. Tommy, you don't skate it like you used to, but I'd rather have a guy with great hockey sense like you that can't skate very good than the other way around, like Rico Fata. But anyway, Brian and I we were really pissed off. Like, and I don't know if you guys remember back then, he, in the paper back then, Brian came out and just blasted the Flames. And who? I'm trying to think of the. Well, I think Coachy was let go too, if I recall.
Yeah, he was GM in that era.
Yeah.
I remember all where I sit. The nosebleeds all were covered up. There's no fans coming.
Yeah, that's right. Unless it was Montreal or Toronto.
Yeah.
And I remember somebody telling me that when I first started coaching with Flames, my first year with the Canadian team. And he goes, just wait till Toronto and Montreal come here as visitors. I go, what do you mean? Oh shit, there's more Montreal and Toronto fans than Calgary fans.
Yeah, there is.
And I'll never forget that first game. I think it was Montreal. Like first, I was amazed. I said, what? Jesus. Crazy. But then after that, I went to San Jose. Daryl was in San Jose then. He called me to come to San Jose. And then we got let go in San Jose, got fired. And right before Christmas in 2002. And then Daryl got the job here in Calgary at that right after he got fired, and then that next year. So I coached my two boys. Came back to Calgary, coached my two boys in hockey, which was kind of nice. He got fired, but it was, the good thing is I got the first time I ever coached my two boys in hockey. So, and then that next year was 2003-04. And I came back with the Flames. And that's the year we lost to Tampa. That was a tough one. Tampa.
Yeah, I saw Marty score that goal. You know where I sat. I saw it go in.
You saw it better than anybody from those seats.
Looking right down on it. I'm up there cheering, and about a third of the people saw it go in.
Yeah.
They reviewed it for about 10 seconds, and then,
Yeah. If they would have had it like they have now, it would have been game over. But I think of all the years I've been around, that was the toughest because we were such underdogs. Every series we were the underdog. We won every game 5 on the road, which I think's never been done. All 4 series we won game 5 on the road, which was a huge win. And beat Detroit, beat Vancouver game 7, beat Detroit, San Jose, and then Tampa. And Kipper.
Yeah. Well,
Kipper should have been he should have been the MVP. I talk about MVP. We don't like that, the MVP in the playoffs, but there's no way we get to the finals without Kipper. Not even close. Your number one centerman was Craig Conroy. On a good team, he's maybe a number 2. You know what I mean? And you look at our lineup. Oh God! But we outworked everybody every game. We lost. Who was the Finnish defenseman, Tommy? We lost him in the first series against Vancouver.
Radicalio?
No. Liddy. Oh shit. He was one of our top 2 defensemen. We lost him in the first series. That was tough. We had to play.
My wife and I, we went to Ireland right during that when you guys were playing Detroit. So I'd be searching around. The internet wasn't very common then. I'd be searching around for an internet cafe so I could find out how you did. I think I missed the Detroit series or something. But
shit, what was
the other ones?
Can't think of his name. He was a good defenseman. But Chelly, he scored some big goals in that playoff rounds, all those rounds. He's still working for the Flames.
Oh, can't think of it.
The French winger. Shit. We scored that goal that wasn't a goal.
Marty Jelena?
Marty Jonas. Yeah. He scored some big goals.
Yeah, well, he scored that goal to win the Stanley Cup that you didn't win.
Yeah, I did.
Well, Rico, you coach with some pretty tough coaches. Keenan, I heard, was one of the toughest. He coached with the Sutters.
Yeah.
And today, how would you coach in the NHL today, given the changing nature of players, you name it?
Yeah, it's different. There's so many generations, I tell one of the biggest things, you got to find a nicer way to say, wake the fuck up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you
You
mean.
can't. That's pretty well said in a nutshell. You gotta. It's a different breed, and the biggest thing for me is when I was coaching, when phones came out, friggin' phones. You had to. When I remember as coaching junior, you have to. Okay, boys, when you're taking a 2 or 3 hour trip, bus trip, and then you're playing right after that, phones in the basket in front of the bus. If you're going traveling, you don't play again until the next day. Okay, go have your phones, but so you're on your phone for 2 hours before the game on the bus. Get off the bus and you got to go to warm up. Get dressed and warm up. And they've been on their phones for 2 or 3 hours. So no, put them in the box at the front of the bus and talk to your teammates about hockey. Right? Jeez.
Well, it's a big routine, like when just coaching that stuff I coach on the road. We collect the phones before they go to bed, because otherwise they'll stay up all night on them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's oh man, that's changed. If I had my way, still wouldn't have phones.
Well, there's some
If
country, I
I,
think
if
it's
I,
Norway's not allowing them till they're 14 or something.
oh really? Wow.
There's little kids. There's there's little kids, the 3-year-olds got phones. They don't play, they just look at the screen.
Yeah,
You pass the playgrounds, there's hardly any kids there.
yeah.
It's really changed everything for sure.
Oh shit. Yeah, yeah. For the worst.
And then if they get in arguments and they post things, like they can really, really go crazy on that stuff.
Yeah. Well, Tommy knows this, but so my last gig in with Anaheim, I was going to retire in Calgary. I was let's see, how old was I? It was 52, 60, 61. 2, 3. I was 63 or 4. I was going to retire in Calgary. So I get a call a week before. Let's see. So Wally, I get a call a week before the season starts in 15, 16. And I was doing some work for an oil and gas firm there, just some sales stuff, and guy I knew. So I get a call from Bob Murray in Anaheim a week before the season, out of the blue. And we were teammates and good friends from Chicago, teammates for a lot of years in Chicago, Blackhawks. And so he said, do you want to come coach? I go, what? The season starts in a week. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, good. I didn't have to go through training camp. Those are long days, as you know. So I said, you guys start in a week. He said, shut up and listen. He goes, Murphy's direct and to the point. I'll give you 3 years, assistant coach, 200 a year. Come down. And I'm going, oh, great. I'm there. I'm thinking to myself, I'm there. And I said, well, long story short. So I said, I talked to Laura. I'll talk to Laura and get back to you. And are you kidding? She said, when did we leave? Anyway, go to Southern California, right? And Getzlaff's still there. Corey was there too. Corey Perry, yeah. Getzlaff still there. They're still a good team. And and I knew Bruce, the head coach. If I wouldn't have known the head coach, I don't know because I always believed head coaches should hire their assistants, right? So, but I knew Bruce over the years and knew him pretty good because it's hard to believe, and I've told Tommy this, but when I was playing with Chicago, our farm team was in Moncton, and it was shared. It was shared by the Maple Leafs in Chicago, and they're both in the North Division. So two teams in the North Division are sharing a farm team. Like, how the fuck does that work? So Bruce was there with a bunch of guys that, Steve Larmer, Steve Larmer was there. And he should be a Hall of Famer, and some other guys. And so that's why I met Bruce through them, and he was drafted by Toronto. Anyway, so I called Bruce after. I said, Bruce said, Merck's gonna. He said, yeah, I'd love to have you come on. Anyway, so I call him back, but I had a. I was being inducted into the Regina Sports Hall of Fame that week. So we had to finagle things. It was crazy. So that it was actually, he called me. It was on like a Thursday or Friday, and they opened their season up in San Jose. So I flew there right away to Anaheim to meet everybody. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and I came back, picked up Laura. Flew to Regina for the Hall of Fame thing, which was a Thursday. Friday, we flew back to Calgary. Then I got a late flight to San Jose, and we opened the season Saturday in San Jose. Oh, it was nuts. It was nuts. And then she stayed here for a couple of months until we persuaded our oldest son to move back in the house because we couldn't leave the house empty for 8 months. So we were gone for 8 months, the next 4 years. And that worked out good because my oldest son lived here and took care of the house and shoveled the walk in the winter. And we'd get back here in whenever, May, end of May usually, and go back, drive back to Anaheim, and Labor Day weekend. This weekend we always go back to Anaheim. It was good. We had good teams. My second year there was the year we lost to Nashville, and then they lost to Pittsburgh 17. In the Pittsburgh's, they went 2 in a row in 17 and 18, or was it 16 and 17? 16 and 17. Nashville lost to Pittsburgh in the final, but I told Tommy this. That's when McDavid, just a young kid, so we beat Calgary, as you remember, Tommy, 4 straight, and then we play Edmonton. Got McDavid and Draisaitl there in their second or third year. Anyway, second year probably. We put Kessler on McDavid. He should have been in jail for child abuse. Kessler, oh God. So we beat them in 7. Beat Edmonton in 7 games. So we played Nashville, and we would have beat them, but we lost Gibson. Gibson, he's in Detroit now. I'm surprised he didn't ask for a trade earlier because he's been through rebuild, right? He's and he's an older goalie now. He went through the rebuild in Anaheim for the last 7 years, 6-7 years. I'm surprised he had a no trade, but why wouldn't you want to go to a contender? Who wants to go through a rebuild? And because he's a big, strong goalie, and anyway. They traded him to Detroit this year, but he was hurt every year. Little nagging stuff every year. And when does he get hurt? Game 6 in Nashville. And if he doesn't get hurt, I think we beat Nashville. We're in the finals. We put in Bernier, good little French goalie. You really liked him, good guy. But he didn't, you don't play all playoffs, so he just wasn't ready. And we lose that game. So, but the Getzlaf and Perry, really good players, and the defenseman who's in St. Louis now, great skater. They traded him to St. Louis last year. Russell. Not Russell. Cam Fowler. Yeah. Cam Fowler, but a great skater. And so I was there until Well, my last year coaching was the year we didn't make the play. That was the year that started the rebuild because we had a lot of older guys that were done, and but you still had good goaltending with Gibson. But then he scouted. I never thought I'd scout, but Murph was bringing a new. Oh, he brought in the coach from the minor league team. He coached Edmonton, remember? Got let go. He coached our minor league team for 2 or 3 years. Anyway, he wanted to bring his own staff, and that's fine. So Murph asked me if I wanted a pro scout. I said, sure, I'll try it. And actually, I didn't mind it. I never thought I'd scout, but it was, I think the biggest thing was you make your own schedule. And it was part-time. I wasn't going to be a full-time scout. No fucking chance. Watched 22 games a month.
Was that about 4 years you did that or something?
4 years, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, I enjoyed it though, because I'd see about at least a dozen, 12 to 15 games a month. And, pro games, it was easy, and when the Wranglers moved here from California, so that made it really easy. It didn't, you can see the Wranglers and the Flames, and Winnipeg and their farm team is in Winnipeg, the Moose. So when you can go on a weekend to Winnipeg, you see the Moose on a Friday, the Jets on a Saturday, and the Moose Sunday afternoon, and you're home Sunday night. So it was great. And same thing with Adirondack. Or not Adirondack, Vancouver's farm team. What's that city there in
just
Abbotsford.
outside of Vancouver.
Abbotsford.
Yeah.
So same with Abbotsford. I flew to Abbotsford, so you didn't have to fly into Vancouver, which is a pretty busy airport. Fly to Abbotsford, see a game Friday, see the NHL game Saturday night, hour drive to Vancouver, hour drive back, Sunday afternoon, home Sunday night. So
Does
it was
Colleton
great.
still coach them?
Hey?
Does Colleton still coach them? Abbotsford?
Yeah, I think he was. Yeah. He went to Chicago, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he did Chicago. I coached him. He played in a team with Mason Raymond and Ryan Duncan
Right,
and that
remember
when
you
they
said
were
that.
12, 13 years old.
Yeah. So was he there after Chicago?
Yeah, I think so.
I think
He
so.
got fired in Chicago. I think he went to Abbotsford.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a nice Abbotsford. That was a great place to play for those guys. Nice rink. Only an hour from Vancouver. The only one tough team is Edmonton because they're still in Bakersfield.
Yeah.
So, but but when the Wranglers moved here, and of course Abbotsford, I didn't have to go to Bakersfield. I could come. I just watched them in Abbotsford or with the Wranglers, so I didn't have to go to Bakersfield. So it worked out pretty good.
Richie, scouting, I got a question. In your role, what do you look for in a player, and what do you like? And what are the traits that you sort of figure they have to compete at the next level and play in your organization?
Well, I got one trait that I don't like right now. I got to go to the bathroom. We're right back.
Tom, you ready for your draft?
Oh, we've already seen them play 10 times, I think. And we had the conditioning camp the week before. So I guess we still have 3 games to watch. So I imagine somebody might pop out, who knows. Got to look at the players that we don't know so much about now because we carry 20 players. So
What would you say your trait is that you look for the most?
Well, skating and hockey sense. I try to avoid 1-on-5 players. We chose one last year, and she was big for her age and all this kind of stuff, and didn't take this other player who I kind of favored because of her hockey sense, and we're making sure we don't do that again. I don't know. It just seems that 1-on-5 players, it's really hard to do much with them unless since they're incredible, but there's nobody in our league that's incredible to go through everybody and actually score at the end.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, scouting.
Come back, Rico.
Scouting. I really enjoyed scouting the NHL. I could have cared less, but the American League, it was interesting to see and to pick out the top, the guys you'd think would make the NHL just because of their work ethic. And for me, the biggest thing is consistency, shift after shift. Like a good example, I couldn't stand him. So who's the big centerman from Winnipeg? Remember was he with Columbus? He always bitched and went from Winnipeg to LA.
The French name. He's playing in LA now, isn't he?
I
think he's in LA now.
No, they got rid of him too. LA did.
Did they?
Dubois.
Very good.
Is that Craig?
Dubois.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's his anyway. Big stud, right? Does everything well. So he was in all the years I was scouting, he was in Winnipeg. And but he went to Washington, right? Yeah, Capitals. LA traded him to Capitals, Tommy.
Yeah,
he was decent with the Capitals.
Yeah, he was pretty good in the playoffs this year.
Yeah. Kurt Muller's a good friend of mine. We played together. He was a kid in Jersey at the end of my career, and I played in Jersey with him. We've kept touch over the years and talked to him about players. But anyway, when he was in Winnipeg, I saw him a lot, right? And this happened 2 years I watched him. One game you'd say, where the fuck is he? What number is he again? Never stood out. Next game, best player on the ice. One of those.
Yeah.
That's one thing I'd never recommend a player like that. Like, come on, are you kidding me? With his size and can skate and everything, he disappears 1 or 2 games, and then the next game he's the best player. So for me, consistency every game in and game out, because you see back, when I scout, you see each team at least a dozen times, easy. And so you know who their top players are game in and game out. That doesn't mean you got to score 40 goals. I mean, so. And a guy like Tanev, the defenseman Calgary had.
Oh, yeah.
Defensive defenseman and block shots and, those are the guys.
He was
a guy like Backlund. And one I told Tommy this. Wally, one guy I really liked with Calgary was he's in Florida. Won 2 cups in Florida. Bennett. Like, I thought, as much as I watched them scouting, I think I had him scout him for at least 2 years before he got traded. But they screwed around with him. They put him on wing on the 3rd line, center on the 4th line. They probably should have sent him back to junior. But I mean,
well, 2 playoffs in a row, he plays center. He's their best player.
Yeah.
In the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then the next year, he's a 3rd line left winger.
Wing, center, yeah. Like, play him at center and leave him there. Like, geez, well, you draft somebody in the first round. What are you doing? Anyway, yeah, playoff comes around. He led him in the last 2 years of playoffs when he was there, and I really pushed for him for Anaheim to get him because he wasn't making much money then either, right?
Yeah.
Even the contract he got with Florida after 2 cups is not really huge, right? But that's the other thing. You see guys like that, and you wonder how come he's not playing more. Or, just
I always wondered that.
Especially
I
a young
always wondered that about
first round pick, Tommy.
Yeah. Well, he was their
And
top
play the shit out of him. Eh?
He was the 4th. That was the highest pick they've ever had.
Yeah. Play the shit out of him because your team isn't going to win the cup. If he's on a team that can compete for the cup every year, maybe not, but fuck, your team that's not making the. Well, back then they didn't make the playoffs, right? Some year, play the shit out of him. God.
Yeah.
You see his with his
I always
character.
wondered that myself.
So, that Wally, who really. So I saw him at the Young Guns tournament in Penticton, where they have Winnipeg, Edmonton, Vancouver, and Calgary. Every training camp, you have their young studs out there in the tournament. That's when I first saw Klapka. Fuck. Adam Klapka. Oh man. And everybody all the others go, who the hell's this guy? And what is he? Tommy 6'7", 230. Oh my
God.
He's
6'8".
And he skated good and could shoot the puck. He's a little, he wasn't a really smart player, but he could skate and shoot the puck and
got pretty good hands too.
Take a chance on this guy.
Last year they put him on the first line and he did pretty good.
Yeah, he did. And poor goalies having him stand in front of you with his ass in your face. But he came he came really slow. His curve wasn't like this, but it was like this, really slow. You see him get better, but those big guys takes a while. Look at the big defenseman for the Bruins. Took him a while.
Yeah.
Chera.
Chera.
Took him a while. Remember he played Prince George in the Western League. Took him a while.
I saw him at the World Championship once, and he was like a turnstile. He was only, like 20 or something.
Yeah.
Guys were just going by him. So.
Oh yeah.
But at the end, he's terrific.
Yeah. He learned how to use his 10-foot stick.
Talk about another guy who came along slow. I think you had Marty, right?
Who's that?
The current Habs head coach, Marty.
Oh yeah, Marty St. Louis. Yeah. Yeah, I was here coaching him when we called him up in the late 90s there.
Yeah, it seemed like he took a while to get going, but
yeah, he did
all right.
Yeah, and actually he was a little shy, little guy on the ice, but he worked his nuts off, and then when we got let go in 2000, they traded him that next year to Tampa, 2001. They should give him more time probably. But that happens to a lot of guys. Be patient.
Well, it was accidental that they called Fleury up. I don't think they had any plan to call him up, but they had so many injuries, they finally called him up. He was their best player in training camp. He never went down after.
That's a good point, Tommy. Like, you never know. I mean, if a guy gets a chance and he's ready to go, that's a great break. Injuries, you get a chance to play and you stay in the lineup. It's well, that's what happened to me in my second year of college. I don't play regular, and an injury, and he was he left after that year, sophomore year. He was hurt half the year. LA Kings drafted him the year before. LA Kings. He went after his sophomore year. Vic Vanaski played a few years with the LA Kings. He's still living in LA. Really, really smart centerman.
All the hockey you're watching, NHL or otherwise, Rico, Tom, who are some players that you think are going to excel that haven't had that chance yet?
I really like Zary. I think he's the first guy the Flames have had since Doug Gilmour that hangs on to the puck and waits for guys to get in the play. And he was healthy about 20 games last year, and I think for 10 of them he was one of the 3 stars. And I was talking to Brad Pascal 2 nights ago. We were watching his daughter practice, and he's got injured both the last 2 years, and that's their worry about him. They're having negotiations. So.
Yeah, that's too bad. Like injuries. Just watching him with the Wranglers, I don't think he can't play center at NHL level. I don't think, but he's a really skilled and good hands. I just don't think he's got that defensive determination to play under, the NHL. But he can. I mean, he played both with the Wranglers. He was a really good player. And that little guy, who was the little guy that they traded? Oh, what a good little player he was. Phillips. That little Phillips.
Yeah.
And he went to Washington. He played a few a few games with the big team there. But he's just so small. But what a good little American leaguer boy.
They're really clever.
Phillips. The one thing though, scouting the Wranglers, those for about 4 years. No defense. I wouldn't recommend any of their defensemen, the Wranglers. None. Kuznetsov, I don't like. The other Russian, I don't like. Who's their one real offensive guy? He's been there about 3 years now. They draft.
He's a French name.
Yeah. He's really good offensively. Power play not, but he's got to get. He's gotten better defensively. But I've been out a couple of years, but I don't know if he'll be an NHLer. And then, but watching Wolf, oh my gosh. I mean, that's unheard of. Best goalie for 2 years in a row in the AHL. And good for Calgary because they gave him a chance. They played him a lot. He's the real deal.
He's a top goalie in junior, too.
And junior, 2 years. Yeah. That's amazing for a small goalie. If 6 foot is small, Tommy.
Yeah, I know. The style changed so much now. They have to be blockers. They're down there. They don't want to have too much room above their shoulders.
Yeah. Well, I didn't like. I didn't like him, but who was the little French winger? They traded. They brought him up.
Pelche.
Yeah. I really liked him. He's a two-way and works his nuts off. Two-way winger. I guess he's really great in the room and really. Although I don't like kissing another guy's helmet, but he used to. If you scored a goal, he'd kiss you on the helmet. But I just didn't think he was going to be an NHLer. Like if you're going to be a two-way player like that, probably a third liner or a checker, he's not big enough. But a great individual, and Edmonton's got. Who did you mention, Wally? Edmonton's got him now from Washington. Mangiapane,
yeah.
Like I think that was the year he had when he scored 30 goals, and then they overpaid him. I don't know if he'll score 30 again. I mean, that was a hell of a year, but he's not going to be score 30 goals every year. I like him with his tenacity and all that. I always liked him.
He'd been an MVP in the World Championship too the year before.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, crazy. Yeah.
I think that confidence he got from that, he had that big year.
That's one player don't mind giving a chance to. He's not going to be on your top six, I don't think, but anymore. But game in and game out, he never had a bad game. Really tenacious.
I know Dominic really liked him. Pettis.
Who's that?
Dominic?
Dominic Pettis.
Oh yeah, Dominic. Yeah, Pettis.
He had him in the American League, I think.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I ran into him last weekend down here in Columbus. Dennis. Dominic Pittis.
Dominic. Yeah.
He's doing good, hanging out in California, putting together some high school teams, both on the men's and the women's side. I'm pretty sure he flies up to Calgary pretty often with them.
Yeah, he's here sometime.
Who's that? Greg? Who was just talking?
Yes.
Greg,
How you doing?
Greg, can you introduce yourself to Rico?
Yeah. Greg Revac out of Columbus, Ohio, coaching high school, writing a newsletter, doing a podcast on doing things smarter. So that's where I got to know Marty a little bit, and Dominic and some others. It's been a lot of fun. And Wally every once in a while sends out my stuff around to his coaching friends. But
Good
love
to meet you,
the feedback, Wally. Nice to meet you, Rico.
Good. I loved going to Columbus. That was one of when they built that new rink there, and that whole area around the rink. Just a great atmosphere. The only thing I don't like is when that cannon goes off. Oh my God.
It's the worst thing in hockey for my money. I hate it.
I remember the first, oh gosh. Oh, first time I heard that, I jumped. It scared the shit out of me.
Rightfully so.
Hopefully they can get things going. That they got some good fans that support them pretty good.
Loyal for sure. Definitely not educated, but loyal. Also curious, Strelo, the founding goalie father. I think you worked with him as well, right?
Oh, Warren.
Yes.
Warren Strelo, yeah. Jeez.
R.I.P.
Yeah, really. Boy, there's a name from the past. Warren Strelo. Wow, he was around for a long time.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on him and his work? Obviously, had a lot of good goalies in his care for a while.
I think he was in San Jose. Was he? Where did I work with him? I'm trying to think.
He was in San Jose for a while. Where else did he get around to?
That was San Jose, like 2000, 2001.
Yeah, it would have been through when they had Kiprasov and
Kipper was there,
and all
Kipper and
a few others
Nabokov.
guy.
Yeah, Warren Strelo. And he used to come on the ice with no skates back then. And I want to sit down and talk to him. He was he was an interesting guy. And yeah, he had two pretty goalies there, Kiprasov and Nabokov.
Toskla was decent back then too. And then I think he started with I want to say Brodeur. Had spent some time with him as well.
Who's that?
Strelo. I think he spent some time with Brodeur.
Oh, Brodeur. Did he? Oh, okay. I'm not sure where he went. Did he retire in San Jose, or did he go somewhere out San Jose, like in 2003, 4, right? He must have.
So he got hired by the Capitals. I know he was with the Miracle on Ice. He was their goalie coach there, and the Caps picked him up. And Devils had him for a season.
Rico, do you watch goalies at all and make any comments, or you leave that to the goalie coach? Scouting.
Yeah. Yeah, leave it to the goalie coach. Because I played with Tony Esposito, Suitcase Smith, who was our old goalie in Houston? Besides Ron Graham, was his nickname was a dancing bear. Wayne Rutledge. His nickname was a dancing bear. Wayne Rutledge. Those three, just mentioning those three, they were so different. Their styles.
Well, you had Hasek too, right?
And Hasek in Chicago, yeah. That was a big trade for Buffalo. They traded him because he came to camp. It was my first. Yeah, it was my first year. He came to camp, Hasek. He, as a rookie in the NHL, he was an old rookie. He was like 20, best goalie in Europe, right, Tommy? Best goalie in Europe, and he was 26 or 7, I think, maybe 8. And what was he different? We're going, what the hell? And he was skinny. He was skinny, and the way he played goal. But we had, Eddie Belfour was up and coming, and of course, Tretiak was our goaltending coach, and him and Eddie Belfour really became close. That's why Eddie wore number 20 all those years. So it was a pick between Belfour and Mike Keenan, between Belfour and Hasek, and just Hasek, the way he played, he said, "Well, I don't know what this guy is." He turned out pretty good though.
Yeah, no one played like him.
Yeah, it was funny. I think I told Tommy this one, Wally and Greg, that so Hasek comes to camp, his first camp, and we're there, and guys are coming in and signing into camp, and I think he just got off the flight from Europe, Czechia, and he's got this pea green suit. And those Europeans, it was really like skin tight, pea green skin tight suit. And he's pretty skinny, shirt and tie and everything. And we're meeting guys and all that. And you go, who's that guy in the pea green suit there? I don't know. None of us knew who he was. We didn't know the shit back then, pictures and stats. So my one of the best lines are, Mike says, "I don't know who that is, but he looks like a gynecologist." Number one, a gynecologist. I've never met a gynecologist, but if you say so, okay. So after that, all through camp, we call him the gynecologist. Hey, bring the gynecologist in here. I got to talk to him.
Well, Rico, I want to talk about Hasek because our generation, we watched him, we knew him, we saw how great he was.
Yeah.
When I was working with the national women, and I had to evaluate goalies, and I used a simple formula, and it sort of came from Dominic Hasek. You stop the first shot, that's expected.
Yeah.
If you stop the second one in a row, we're watching you. And the third one in a row, we're likely keeping you.
Yeah.
So unorthodox, never quit.
Never give up on a puck. Yeah.
Never give up on a puck. Yeah. And that's the first thing I looked at. And that's why I get the heebie-jeebies talking about technical goalies who are butterflying and doing all these technical things right and mental training between shots.
Yeah.
And they just got to stop pucks. And it's not dodgeball.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
All the goalies now, they're all coached the same way. Yeah. Butterfly and all the shit they do. Like Hasek was one of the, he stood out, like he never went to that butterfly school or all the shit they do. And I mean, to drop your stick and grab the puck with your stick hand. I mean, I don't think Glenn Hall never did that. I know that.
Well, I had my goalies last year just on this third shot thing. There's this shootout game that they end up having to swim a lot because they're the 2-0 and stuff like this. Yeah. And after one practice, and I like it because they have to keep battling. And the both of them came to me and said, we don't really like that. It's, complaining. I said, okay, so when the AAA coach calls about you, I'll say, you're good goalies, but you don't like to work very hard. Is that what you want me to say? And they thought for a second, they said no, and they never complained about it anymore.
Well, that's the other thing that is a work ethic. That's one thing I didn't like about John Gibson in Anaheim.
Yeah.
If he wasn't starting, he'd try and keep him on the ice after the guys that weren't playing. Have a little 2-on-2 game in the end zone or something. Nope. That pissed me off about him. He was, you got to have some fun too. It's got to be fun for you. You don't have to stop every puck. Just stand in the net so the guys can get some work. But and the goalie that I think Tony Esposito, for all the goalies I played with and coached, like his focus on game day, and everybody knew it after a while. That you never talked to him on game day. And, we never had pregame skates back then, but he'd come to the rink with his head down on game day, and he'd never look at anybody, never talk to him. That was his pregame ritual. And then he, probably about 20 minutes before warm up, we knew the exact time. Never go to the training room because he's in there alone with the trainer, and he'd stand up on the bench on the long bench where you lay down. He'd stand up on that. And the trainer would get a handful of analgesic bomb, red hot, and a handful of medium, and mix them all together, right down his back, his ass, and his back of his legs. Have you ever? And I used to put it on my leg, just the medium, because then you put his long, we had the underwear, the full length underwear back then, and you put that over that red hot, and then you start sweating on the ice. It was like, well, you're gonna get 3rd-degree burns. He did that every game because it just kept him so hot, right? That he never cooled down. Tony and that was his pregame routine. But he was the worst practice goalie of all time. Worst practice goalie of all time, Tony. He hated to get hit in practice. In a shooting drill. Back then, the coaches weren't real, as you coaches know, the coaches weren't real, didn't do a lot of different things, didn't make up new drills. There's always, okay, blow the whistle. And the coach never said nothing. Blow the whistle, one-on-ones, 10 minutes, one-on-ones, blow the whistle. You go to the corners, 2-on-1s, blow the whistle, 3-on-2. That's the one thing, but you didn't know any better. And same stuff from Murray Armstrong, same drills all the time. And that's the thing that's really changed now. And for players, it's good. Do different drills, different things. And anyway, but so the shooting drill, Tony, if the puck was rolling and a guy's going to slap the puck or something, Tony would yell out from under his mask, "Don't shoot, don't shoot!" And he covered here and here with this blocker and his glove. Don't shoot, don't shoot. You hate to get hurt in practice or get hit in practice. Oh God. Well, boys, that was good.
Yeah, I got to go. It's my wife's birthday. I got to go get her a card before she wakes up.
Tommy, think beforehand. You could do that. You could have done that a week ago or even yesterday.
Oh, I got the present.
Yeah.
Just got to get the card.
So,
You got
I
hockey.
thought that counts.
Are you playing this week, guys?
No.
On the ice at all this week?
You weren't there on Tuesday, Rico.
Next Tuesday.
Yeah, goes to Mount Pleasant.
Crowchild starts on the 15th of September, Tommy. I'll go Tuesday group and then at least once or twice with the Crowchild group. So about 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah, and Mount Pleasant next week for Tuesday. Mount Pleasant up 2:30.
Oh, right. You go to Mount Pleasant. Right. I'm glad you said that.
2:15.
Yeah. Mount Pleasant. That's a better time too. You don't have to wait around until 5. all day.
Yeah. Well, it's
Well,
good
good,
for me
Wally.
because we have a 6 o'clock practice at Village Square. So
Oh,
it's
shit.
kind of halfway there.
Village Square, geez.
So I stop at Peter's Burger to get a burger for supper and then go to Village Square.
I'd be glad you
Oh,
don't
you're not okay.
Toronto.
Make sure that's is that an all meat burger, I hope, Tommy? Okay, boys. Wally, good talking to you. Greg, nice to meet you.
Thanks for coming on.
Brother.
Appreciate it, Rico.
You're welcome, partner.
Have a good week.
All the best. We'll do it again.
Okay, take care. Thank
Think
you.
of some other stories.
Take care. See you Tuesday.
Okay. Take care, boys.
Okay. I got to get off too.
Okay, Tom, thanks for getting Rico on. That was terrific.
Oh, he's a terrific guy. I think that's why he had such a long career. Just,
Yeah.
you know, just a nice fella. All right, we'll see you guys. See you, Greg.
Okay, Tom, catch you later. Have a good day. Tom, what time's your ice tonight and where?
We're at Ectus. I think it's at 3:45. I'm not sure. I got to look it up.
Okay, I'm trying to find out the starting time. So,
I'll look it up and I'll text you, but I can't remember.
okay. Take
But
care.
it's early.
Talk to you later.